What's good, people? Long time no see, man. Long time no see. Long time no see. Many things have changed. I have a script here, man. I'm just gonna read off the script. I have some things in there. Obviously, I cut my hair. I put that in the script too. But I'll just start. What's good, people? Long time no see. As you can tell, some things have changed, namely my hair. So I may let it grow back. I think I'll actually probably let it grow back because, to be honest, that looked cool, man. I mean, to me at least, like, and even when I go back on the old videos and look at my hair, man, that was, I mean, it obviously wasn't that, like, it wasn't the cleanest and, like, the most well defined in terms of, like, the strands of hair, the dreadlocks, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't, like, that well defined and that clean, but, like, dude, that, I don't know, it looked pretty cool. Like, I look cooler than I do right now. Not gonna lie, but it is what it is, dude. And I don't know, man. That was actually really cool. Like thinking, and I knew it was cool when I had it too. To be honest, but it was just messy. But like, dude, I that was pretty cool. Like I'm just looking at the right before I turned on this camera, I was looking at my old footage, and dude, I still like that hair. Like it wasn't the cleanest, as I've said before, but I still like that hair, man. That was cool. That was pretty cool. So I'm gonna try to, and that took me 2 years, dude. That took me 2 years to grow. So I'm gonna try to grow that back, like maybe cleaner this time. But like that actually was pretty cool. I remember it worse than it was. I remember that hair worse than it was. Like looking at it, but like and then having it, you always have it in your face and stuff. So I remember that was annoying, but that looked cool. I'm just gonna leave it there. That looked cool, but it's all good. It's cut now, but I'm gonna grow that back. So, okay, that's like, I just went off script there, but okay, whatever. All the issues. See, I don't even want to talk about issues, man, because it's kind of like a decent day. Actually, technically, should have been a bad day, but whatever. So, okay, so the issues that we discussed in the past, they're actually worse now, because I remember we were talking about wars and like MGTOW. I won't even title this MGTOW, man. Like, do you see what happens when dudes leave? Like, there's wars. Enough said. That's the whole thing I was getting at when we were discussing for the past, like when I started that in 2020. I started that channel in October 2020, and I started discussing MGTOW like in January of 2021, I think, or something like that, because I realized, I was like, huh, like I just realized the trends going, and I was like, huh, this is interesting. And then war breaks out, like massive war, not just local wars, but looks like we have massive war breaking out now. So that's exactly what like, obviously one man or one group of people watching a YouTube channel can't really, like, we're not gonna, like, what are we really gonna do? Like, you can't stop a world war. Like, I don't think we were even born when the seeds were being sown, like the globalism and all that stuff we were talking about. And we'll talk way more about that stuff because you know how much I learned since then. Like, let's just get into this one, honestly. Like, it's all good. Wars, inflation, economic downturn, sickness, and then we're gonna talk about like the banking collapse that's going on this year. We're gonna discuss that, the banking collapse. People didn't think like it's a banking collapse. People, I'm not, and it's just different than how it was 100 years ago. Because people aren't gonna be running to the banks trying to get their money back because it's all on their phones. I was even just watching a Bloomberg piece today. People have their banking on their phone. So what's a bank run today? People aren't getting in their cars and driving to the bank. They're just pulling out their phone and trying to pull money out from their phone. So think about how quickly that occurs. And we've had like the SVB collapse, we've had the Credit Suisse thing, and we're just gonna. But I've even been researching different things, so I'll get back on that research about the money, and then I'll be discussing that with you in these later videos. But, all the back to the script now. All the classic issues are still occurring, as I was saying, like from when we began the channel. We're still kind of dealing with these issues, but we're also still doing a healthcare network, and that's actually the main reason I even started the channel if you go back like way to my first videos. But yeah, so I'm starting to realize some of these things like wars, inflation, like economic downturns and sickness are some of the most human things of all time, but it's all good. Like guns, germs, and steel. Guns, germs, and steel, man. But okay, so today for this specific piece of content, which is a video, we're going to discuss something that I've learned, and now at 26 years of age, I understand the impact on history and the future that this sentence that I'm about to say has, like the impact that on history and the future that this sentence I'm about to say and its consequences have had and will have, if that makes sense. That was kind of confusing. But, so this is the sentence. He doesn't want that, or she doesn't want that, depending on your gender. I'll say it again. He doesn't want that. And yeah, like I put in the script, she doesn't want that. And I am a male, and actually this is not a MGTOW video anymore, really, but it was in the script. So, whatever. But because I'm like a male, I'll just like stick with he doesn't want that. But if you're a woman, you can like put she in there. So that's the statement. He doesn't want that. So when I was younger, I didn't really imagine that part of history too much. And we can get into the term dark data because I'm reading a book literally that's called Dark Data, authored by David J. Hand. I'm not too far into the book, but that's a great book. He doesn't want that dark data. So when I was in school, like many of you, I was busy memorizing facts about cuneiform and stone tablets and Alexander the Great and wars of conquest and Adolf Hitler and Otto von Bismarck and Napoleon. You guys might have not known about Otto von Bismarck, but that dude, you need to learn more about that guy. Another German. But while all this stuff is interesting to learn and was interesting and also stressful because there was a lot to memorize at the time, it's interesting, exciting, sad in terms of, when you're learning about World War II and stuff, or whatever the case may be. I think all of that stuff, all those details that you memorize in school, all of that is pretty much theater when it comes to the average day-to-day decisions that all people, including those big men of the past like Teddy Roosevelt, Hitler, Bismarck, what's that guy, Lenin, who's the fascist, Mussolini, all those dudes, the day-to-day decisions that all people, including those guys, made, and not even the big stuff, like the big dates that we learn, like the coups and all that, that's big, but the day-to-day decisions that those people, and people like you and me make, that's actually most of history. And we can't possibly learn about all that. That's why we condense history down to a set of facts and things that you memorize, and like dates and whatever locations and stuff, because you just condense it down to that, because you can't possibly take in all of like the day-to-day decisions that people make, like, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to buy this, I'm not going to buy that, oh, I don't like when that guy talks, I'm not going to listen to him, like, we don't really, all the little stuff. So what I realize now is how all those historical events that we learned in school, how all of them get started. Nothing large happens out of nowhere. As I look around at the society I live in now, it's very clear that a long, long series of retreating is what I call it. A long, long series of retreating that makes up history. So what do I mean by, because I wrote the script yesterday and I kind of scribbled it down. So what do I even mean by that? So I mean that there was always something before. Some community, some country, some grouping, society, whatever you want to call it. Over time, You can call it entropy, but over time, this grouping begins to break apart due to different feelings about what to do, how to establish identity, etc. And that's huge. Like, just the fact that people have differing opinions on what to do and how to establish identity in the group is huge. Like, that's make or break for the group, pretty much. So, this is where the statement comes in. He doesn't want that. So think about it. If he doesn't want that, and he doesn't want that, then what does he want? Does he even know what he wants? Can we give it to him? Can he get it himself? Does he even like us? Do we like him? Oh, now he's farther away over there. Will he come back tomorrow, next week, next year? And I'll just leave it there. I don't know if that makes full sense to you guys, but given the context of what we've kind of witnessed on this, I guess on this channel, the things I've discussed and the events that we've witnessed over the past, since I began this channel, which was kind of like mid-COVID in 2020. Just think about that. They're breaking apart of groups. And like, I don't know, that's something I was thinking about. And that's kind of how I'm gonna come back in and start discussing things with you guys on this channel. Like, think about that. He doesn't want that. What have you guys been doing over the past however long? And like, how does that affect stuff? Just for me personally, like I said, a lot of people that watch this channel are older than me. So you guys probably already know, but I'm just learning for myself at 26 years of age. I guess, huge impact that has, if that makes sense. I didn't even know that. The fact that just the simple things like people, just the retreating that goes on. Because at some point, if you don't want what that person wants, there's no reason. And then let's say you already have different things you want to do. That person already has different things they want to do. You don't really, you're going to end up just doing different, and then you end up becoming different at some point. Because then, it's hard to explain. Even if you're in the same area, you can end up just carving it up completely different, and then you just never really interact anymore. And then it's just, it's simple. I learned this in biology a long time ago. Like, just what speciation, it's different. Like, you become different at some point. Even if you occupy the same niche, if you just do different stuff, like if you're eating different food, if you're just in the different spot in that same niche, you end up just becoming different. Like, and humans aren't going to become a different species, obviously, but just on a smaller scale, you become like a different culture. You become a different society, you become like a different community, and that's big for a human, because then like all the people after you, they're going to be part of that community, and then whatever whatever splits happened, it just keeps going. And then will you eventually come back together? Like, usually it's a war when people come back together. That's the thing, and that's like kind of why I discussed that in this video, because usually it's a war when people come back together, because you end up being so different, and then at some point it's a war when you come back. Usually, or not usually, but for me, a better scenario would be if you're kind of like having communication channels between the different entity, like the different communities and stuff. Like, that's a headache, man. Because ultimately, some people, like, they just, if they don't want that, they don't want that, dude. You can't convince somebody to want something that they don't already want, which is the big part of this video. And that's what I realized. That's a big thing that I realized recently. You can't really convince somebody to want something that they don't want. And it's just a gut feeling too. Even if they've never seen different, some people still just, they don't want something. You just can't force it, like, for whatever reason. And then it's just entropy happens, man. You can't really stop it. It's not something that you can control. So, yeah, okay, there you go. So, yeah, that's kind of like my spiel there. Thanks for listening. It looks like we're not at the end of, just going back to the script, it looks like we are not at the end of history. And that's a term, end of history, that you guys might have heard. We're not at the end of history. Everybody thinks their era is the end of history, and then it turns out it's not because things keep going, you know. But maybe that's just a young man thing, because I feel like after you get to a certain, like, I'm 26 now, and I realize, dude, we're not at the end of history. It's just like all the things that I learned is history, but like the things going on now is going to be history for somebody else. And then at some point, like the future, I won't even know. And that's going to be history to somebody else. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's the end of the video for today. I'll try to post regularly again, and maybe once every few days, because now I have different things going on, like class and then like family. I don't have a family, like I didn't start a family of my own yet. Like I'm not gonna put MGTOW at the end of the videos anymore, I don't think. But like, I didn't necessarily find like that girl or whatever, which I'm not necessarily looking, because there's been a bunch, dude. So like, also one thing I'll just tell you, which I'm surprised, if you're older than me, I'm surprised like you don't know this already, but I feel like if you want something, it's gonna come. So like, if you want like a girl or something, there's so many, you're gonna get one. Like you'll probably get the one of your choice too if you keep looking. At least that's what I've learned. There's like a lot you can do, especially if you have the money to move around. I don't even really have the money to move around, but I still was presented with many different opportunities. But then, some girls, they want a guy with money, some girls don't care. So you're gonna have to sift through that on your own. And yeah, it's all good. So yeah, peace out for now. Hopefully I'll catch y'all in another couple of days. Alright, deuces.